1, 2, 3, 4.
What's going on, everybody? It's duped. We're checking back in. We have the start of the PGA Tour 2023 season is about to be underway. Got my main man at TeaserNation with me. How are we feeling this evening?
I'm good, man. I'm glad to be back. Had a good fall with the betting. Usually it doesn't really work out that way, but we're coming in on a hot streak. I'm ready to roll this year. Hopefully it's a good year for the both of us as you kind of get into your second year, full year of betting at golf. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully we can
that's what I'm like pumped about. It's my second year. I got a little bit more under my belt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start diving into some matchups here and there. I know you're the king of the matchups in all the Twitter land. And you had a very, very successful fall. It was unbelievable to watch. You had like three or four, the last four?
Yeah, I think it was like
outright winners.
5. So it was, I don't know. It was just, it's crazy with the fall because it's more, random with not the big players going, but we had a good fall. So I'm looking forward to keeping it rolling here. We got a tricky one also coming this weekend. It's a smaller field. So you never know. You kind of, I think, got to go with the hot shots here. I think I was reading a stat today, 9 out of the last 10 winners have been 22-1 or less. Mm-hmm. So anyone watching, I think this is the week to really, hammer the top guys. There's not going to be as many long shots in this field this week. So,
yeah, I got one long shot really, and it's like I'm praying that he gets close. But yeah, that's the only one. Otherwise, you got to go with these elite guys up at the top. And if you guys are tuning in, make sure you guys, if you're on YouTube or Twitch, you guys can leave a comment and make sure you guys give us a follow on Twitter. And if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit that thumbs up. And if you're on Twitter, make sure you just hit that retweet button, and that helps us tremendously grow this show as we continue on our way. We are going to have a bunch of guests throughout the season. We'll have Stevie Smalls once again for a major, and we have a couple other ones that are lined up to come on. SideKicksPicks will be on here as a regular co-host as well. He just could not make it this evening, and he's diving into golf betting for the first season. So Teaser, help me out. We're going to help him out to kind of grow with him some more, and then make sure you guys are tuning in each and every week. It'll be Wednesday nights at 7. We were going back and forth between Tuesday or Wednesday. We kind of decided Wednesday is the best because you got a lot more information. We could have said this yesterday and maybe we were all over Xander. And today, it doesn't matter about Xander. So we wanted to, I don't care if we're a little bit late to the party. I think this is a good one to make sure you tune into before your DFS lineups are set, as we'll go over some DFS stuff and then some outrights, placements, and then matchups as well. So, we tune in as we go along in the show. It won't be as long. We're usually going to be about 30, 45 minutes, depending on how many people we got on the show. But this particular Sentry Tournament of Champions, there's only 30. I think there's 38 now since Xander's out. 38 golfers. There's no cut. You really, really got to nail your DFS lineups, and it's going to be hard to get a little bit different. So I'll show you guys how to do that a little bit later on in the show. Teaser, do you want to dive into maybe the course itself and what kind of attributes and stats you're looking at for a golfer?
Yeah, so it's in Hawaii. It's really a long course, but it doesn't play too long because it's 7,600 yards, but for these guys, that's really not that long. It's also, the wind usually there, stuff like that. A lot of undulations in the fairway, so you're getting a lot of run out there. The greens are Bermuda. They're very slow on the stint meter, so they're going to be running slow Bermuda this week. It's a par 73. And then a couple key stats I came up with. We'll probably show the fantasy model in a second here, but
Yeah.
I went with obviously strokes gain approach. If you guys are kind of new to the channel, if we want to get into golf, we kind of look at that every week just to see, because that's probably one of the most important things you want to look at in golf, is seeing how these guys are hitting their irons week to week. Particularly at this course, I'm looking on off the tee. So you kind of need to be in the fairways and kind of gaining strokes from off the tee at this course. Birdies are better gained because, as we saw last year, Cam Smith outdueled John Rahm. What was he, 30 under, I believe? So you're going to need some birdies this year. So that's why we're kind of looking at the more elite guys who can make birdies in bunches. I'm not saying Tom Hoagie, like at the bottom, cannot do that, but I'd rather take the elite guys in that scenario.
Right.
And then I think, I'm looking also at strokes gained putting on Bermuda greens, because that's always important. It's also very volatile putting. That's one thing we can't really cap. In any sport, really, that's the hardest thing to cap. They can hit any putt or miss every putt of the week. So we're just looking at just to see how they're doing that week and how they putt on that surface. So those are a couple key stats. So
and I think the weather, the only thing that would hold back somebody from going low is the wind. And I think Friday and Saturday there's supposed to be some wind, but nothing that's going to probably damper any of the scoring that we should see. Like, it'll be anywhere between -20 to -28 or something like that. Somewhere in there. It's a very, very wide range, but you should see a bunch of birdies. So, and there's not much data. We'll pull up the model, but there's just not much, relevant data currently to kind of back up what we normally would say. Oh yeah, this guy is doing this for this amount of tournaments in a row. Obviously, you could go to the data and see. But this is the one from Fantasy National. We pull this up every single week, and you can see Rory's the top guy, but he's out, and you see Xander's in the top 5 as well, top 6, and he's out. So it's going to be more in the elite range, as you guys can see with the guys up top in the model. You want to dive into one of your first outrights?
Yeah, so I'll just kind of touch on that. Like, the fantasy model is just really to have this week. We're not looking too much into it, like you were saying, because I did it the past 50 rounds. So that's going way back in the middle of last year. So it's really not showing us much. I just kind of wanted to see where guys were at coming into this year. But I'm going to start my card. I usually don't do this, but with it being only 38 or 39 people, I'm going to start with Rahm at 7-1. I like how he played here last year. He got second. I mean, he was making a birdie every hole, it seemed like, just battling with Cam Smith. But he's first off the tee. He's always going to be every year. He's great off the tee. Opportunities gained, I think he's 20th there, as you can see in the model. And then par 4s, 350 to 400. There's a lot of gettable par 4s this week, and there's a lot of gettable par 5s. So that really plays to his strengths a lot. He can really get those par 5s and those 350 to 400 yard par 4s. So I'm going to start there. I usually, just for newer viewers out there, we usually want to stay away from guys 10-1 or less in outrights, but I just think there's a little bit of value there given the shorter field or the smaller field. And then, so I got 3 more outrights. I'll usually do 3 to 4 outrights a week. This week I chose to do 4. Finau, I got 14-1 on DraftKings. He's really been on a heater coming into this year. He won 2 times in a row last year at the end of the season before the playoffs. 4th off the tee in my model there the past 50 rounds, 7th in strokes gain approach, and 6th in the strokes gain par 5. Another guy who can really get after those long, make the long holes look small. So I like how he can score at this course. And then this guy, you'll be hearing a lot this year. I just can't miss his first win. He's gonna. That's my bold prediction this year. He's winning multiple times. It's Cam Young at 20-1. There's really just,
That's your boy.
Yeah, if you'll know how much I like this guy throughout the year, but it's just there's not really much to say about him. Obviously he's another bomber off the tee. He's gonna hit it 330 down the middle of the fairway usually, but I mean, he's just always there. He's going to give you top 20s, top 10s, and he's not a course fit type of guy. Like he can play anywhere, as we saw. He fits in the major courses. He fits in birdie fest. Like he can go get it. So I like him as well. And then my last one to round up the outrights, Sam Burns at 22 to 1. I do like the value. I'm kind of surprised I got him at 22 to 1. I thought he would be more in like the maybe 16 to 18 range, if I'm being completely honest. But I saw a little value there on 22 to 1. He got 19th here last year, which isn't that great. But I also like that's one of those guys, which I'm also thinking of taking first round leader. He can get hot in a heartbeat. That guy.
Who, Burns?
Yeah, he's pretty decent on Bermuda greens as well. So if he gets the putter rolling, he's going to go low. So those are my 4 if you kind of want to get in yours.
Yeah, so you got Rahm, Finau, Young, and Burns. So I like that. My pick to click this week, obviously, I think if you are a fan of golf, you've seen this guy play. You've seen how talented this guy is. It's going to be Justin Thomas. There's really nothing more you need to say. It's just that he's a really good golfer, and I think that he can get it done. I'm also going to take a top 10 for him, so double dip. You'll see me do that a lot with maybe some long shots. I'll take an outright, put him also in my top 20. So with something like this, with Justin Thomas, maybe he slips on Saturday or Sunday, still finishes top 10, so we can nicely cash and profit as well. All my outrights are going to be 0.25 units this year, even if they are a long shot, unless I tell you guys, because so my long shot of the week is Henley at 4,500. He basically is the best value I could find at this particular time. And his stats right here, he does pretty dang well in strokes gains on approach, which approach is going to be key this week. I know they have the widest fairways on the tour, but that's only half the battle. You got to make sure that your approach around those greens, and it's a very more hilly course than most people think, and you're going to make sure that you get those approach shots nice and tight to the pin. And I think Henley could shock some people this week, so I'm going to take him also as a top 20 bet at minus 125. So Henley and Thomas outrights. Thomas top 10, Henley top 20. And then to round out my outright, I'm going to go with a guy that I probably shouldn't play, but it would kill me if we start the year off and this guy does well, Sungjae Im. And I think he's fresh off getting married, so maybe he's got a new outlook on life. Gets a little bit of a boost there, and I think we can get with his approach and his putting. I think this guy's got a chance, especially I think I got him 18 to 1 odds. Not bad. I didn't double up with top 10s or top 20s. Didn't see the value there. I know Teaser does. That he's got him as well in a placement. But I'm going to go with Sungjae, and we got Thomas, and then we got Henley as my outrights. So let us know in the comments what you guys think of the outrights, and we'll go right into the top 10 for you, Teaser.
Yeah, so I kind of doubled up. I think this year I might I'm not a big top 10 guy, but obviously you need to take top 10s in the smaller fields. But
yeah, in this one, yeah.
Right. I might need or I was going to start maybe stacking, maybe doing like an outright top 10, top 20 type thing in the normal things. That we'll see how that goes. But I do like Tony Finau top 10 at plus 110. I usually never take like a minus top 10. I'm not a big fan of that. So this was the first guy at that plus money I saw on DraftKings. So I think he can easily get that top end. He can definitely go low. So I spoke about him in the outright part. So don't need to go too much further into that. And then, as you said, I just took Sungjae Im plus 130 for a top 10. I don't know. I was back and forth on the outright. I chose to take Burns over him. I could see him winning here. I think obviously the top 10 is a lot much safer with Sungjae. He's always in contention. It's just a matter of when and if he gets it done. Obviously he's won before, but yeah, he's always there in contention. I think the top 10 is pretty safe with him. And I did like plus 130. I think there's a tad bit of value there. Like you said, not much, but throughout the whole top 10 board, I think those were the two I think had the most value on DraftKings. And then I'll just get right into my one top 20.
Yeah.
Really, you can only really take 5 guys for the top 20 that are plus money. Yeah. So I did Scott Stallings at plus 120. You know, he's another guy who can kind of bomb it around a little bit. I saw that funny Instagram thing where, if you saw that, where
I missed that. What was it?
So there was like a guy on Instagram, his name's Scott Stallings, and he got a Masters invite, but it was the wrong Scott Stallings.
Oh,
He had like the same exact, like, it was weird. They were like they both live in Georgia, but no. It was,
whoops.
So yeah, it was funny, but yeah, I think he'll play well here. I don't know. Let me double check where he is at in the model. He's not too far up. He's about 30. At 30th on the model. I don't know if he's played here recently. Let me double check that. Yeah, he's never played here actually, but I do think with it being wide fairways, like you said, he's a little erratic at times, but if he can kind of get that driver down, he usually can go low as well. So I'm really just looking for guys that can make birdies in bunches. There's some guys who are better at that than others, so that's my main category this week is the birdies are better gained. So
I like it. Yeah,
kind of pops off that chart. So.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I'm going to jump back to I'm going to go my top 20 first, then go to top 10. But my top 20, I got Henley, like I talked about, but Trey Mullinax, that guy, he's top 10 in the model currently with birdies gained. So that's where that, if he gets hot, the putter gets hot, he could be top 20, nice value there, plus 125. So he's going to be in some of my most of my DFS lineups as he's under 5% owned, and you can kind of get a little bit more leverage on the field there. So give me Trey Mullinax, and then my other top 10 that I haven't talked about is the Golden Boy that I had last year early on, and then he faded hard. But my dumbass kept going back to him even down the road. But I'm going to stay on him early and probably fade him late, and I'm going to go with Seamus Power plus 260. Heavy off the tee. If he can find a way to tuck him close, I think he can get up there in the top 10 and surprise some people. He's coming in a little bit lower owned than I think he should be. I think he's in like the 10% range, where ownership this week is kind of out the window when you're talking about there's people that are going to be 30, 40, 50% owned in some lineups. So it's just with a small field, you really got to get it top 10 for all six if you're going to cash, or right. Top 15. You got to be really close. So yeah, those are the placements. We do have a matchup that we'll give out at the end. So we'll probably be here another 5 or 10 minutes or so. You got anything else you want to wrap up before we go to DFS?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give a couple, I don't think a long shot will win, but one guy I did pop out on the board I just forgot to mention was the Gala. He's at 45 to 1, which is actually, I mean, obviously he's never won before yet, but
right.
I think that's a little high for him. I thought he would be more in, like the maybe 35 range. So I think there's a little bit of value there on him. He's one guy. With him, I mean, I've taken him a little bit the last year or so, and it's just with him, he can go low when he wants. He's heavy off the tee as well, but it's that putter, man. But the Bermuda slow greens kind of negate that a little bit. Same with Seamus Power. If he can, that's his downfall is the putter as well. Yep. So if they can just kind of get that rolling, we're just banking on them with the Bermudas to kind of negate the putting there. So I think that's one guy. You can get pretty good value on there. Also, another guy, like you said, actually, I was going to touch on Trey Mullinax. He's really been on a heater. I mean, that's a couple months ago now, but I mean, I think once you get that confidence in golf, it's kind of, you keep playing well. You're kind of keep getting those top 20s, top 10s. He's actually at I don't know if he's going to win, obviously, but 100 to 1, which is, if you just want to sprinkle something on that, that's fine. If he's ever in contention, or honestly,
pizza money on that.
A top 10 on him is 5.5 to 1. So that's also great value there. So I think I would probably lean towards the top 10 more than an outright sprinkle, if I'm just being honest, because I don't think he's going to win. But I think a top 10 sprinkle would be definitely good if you want to go that far with it. But yeah, that's kind of it with the board there. So
yeah. There's just not much value. I like the top 20s a lot more than that's probably my favorite placement bet that I've realized over the years, because there's a bunch of guys that I lean towards on DFS where I'm like, man, models really like this guy. Why don't we just take some value on the top 20? So that's where I've seen like some plus 250s, 300s. And so with those bigger fields, cash with that. But this field, there's just no value whatsoever in top 20s. Top 10s are always tough. So if I have my, your bankroll allocation, start small with this one, and then build your way up as the fields get a little bit bigger. But to just pivot towards DFS. So traditionally, if you guys are tuning into the show, we always talk about how you can get different, and where you roster 6 guys on a PGA DFS lineup, and most of the time you're supposed to go 2 over 15% owned, 2 in between 5 and 15% owned, and then 2 under 5% owned. That's like the golden rule that I've been taught, what I've researched. That's kind of always been and able to get up there in the leaderboards and get unique that way. However, in this tournament, you either got to do one of two things. You got to have a balanced build where, and it's mostly in salary. Maybe play more of those 800s to low 9,000 guys to mid 7,000 guys, where you can get a little bit more balanced build, or you go extreme stars and scrubs, where you maybe have 3 stars and 3 scrubs, 2 stars, and then you got 1 maybe middle guy and then 3 scrubs. So that's the only 2 ways I can see anybody getting different this week. But because when you look at any percentages, who leads the pack here, Rahm at like 40%. Then you have M at low 30s. One guy we have not talked about, which I was going to ask you about, is Patrick Cantlay at 30%. He always starts off the year hot. I mean, I haven't played him. I'll probably have him in some of my DFS lineups. What do you think? What his chances are this week, and how do you think he'll fare?
Yeah, I mean, he's like you said. I mean, he was racking up the top 10s early last year. Like it was every week he was getting a top 10. But I don't know. He got 4th here last year, so I don't know if he was close to winning because it was kind of like a 30 under, and then everyone was behind him in the pack. But yeah, 4th. I mean, I'm sure he'll be up there. Like you can't. It's like so many elite guys in this. You can't. You got to pick and choose. So I'm not going to say he's going to play bad, because he won't. He's probably going to get a top 10 if I'm being honest. So it's just a matter of what elite guy you kind of want to move towards. I can't really say I like. I mean, the only one I'll say I like more than anyone else is Rahm. But like with the other guys, I think they're kind of interchangeable. I don't think they're gonna throw a dud and come in 30th. Any of them. I could be wrong, but I don't think they're gonna do that. So
yeah, with the no cut, I mean, they could be horrible in the first round or so, and then have 3 rounds to come back. So you're playing in this tournament for the classic ones where you got all four rounds. Just maybe not look at your phone too much, because it's going to change sporadically, like every single day of the weekend. So I'll talk about some sleeper guys for DFS, some guys that are low owned that rank pretty high, that I'm looking at, mid, like I said, Henley, he's right there at like the mid 10 to 12% range, which is pretty low there. Another guy, Corey Connors, he's coming in right at 10% ownership. I'm not too big of a fan of him this weekend, but he's shown last year that he can produce and get up there. So I see the upside there. And then 2 guys, or actually, sorry, 3 guys. Matsuyama under 10% owned is kind of criminal. I don't know why. I know he hasn't played in a while, but I just don't know how he can ever be under 10% owned in such a field like this.
He's probably gonna win and just mess all us up. Like it's gonna be one of those things where he's just gonna play out of his mind, like out of nowhere.
Yep. So I'll have him in some of my DFS lineups, but then you got 2 other guys that I'm very high on for the entire season, and I think a lot of people are, which is Max Homa and Fitzpatrick. But those 2, I guess they just don't spit out very well in models. They're coming in right at under 15% owned. So you can get different with those 3 heavyweights and maybe build around those 3 guys instead of maybe build around Cantlay, Thomas, or Rahm. On that way to kind of attack it.
I think, like you were saying, I think I do like Homa and Fitzpatrick for the season long. But I think the reason why they're getting a little overlooked this week, I don't think they're more of a grinded out type, major, like where Homa's won, the Wells Fargo is reigning all week. Like he knows how to grind it out. Fitzpatrick won the U.S. Open. I like them more in those, like type of events. I don't like them where they need to go 25 under. I don't think they're capable of doing that, but that's kind of not suited to their game. So I think I would stay away from those two, but definitely we're going to target them in majors and in harder courses and tougher conditions throughout the year.
I like it. All right.
Then one more guy I wanted to ask you about, I want to get your opinion on him, is Morikawa.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Sidekick was texting me this morning. He's like, is Morikawa good at golf? I'm like, yes, he's really good at golf. He had a bad year last year, and I wouldn't say bad year. I mean, he was still fine. But, I mean, this course should fit him pretty dang well. As long as his approach, I mean, last year was his putter. His putter was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to think he's fixed some of that. You got to think he's done that. And it's never been his approach. It's never been his drives were bad for a little bit there. I remember you telling me about his swing and staying away from him. So putting, driving, maybe I just more of a prove it for me this week to see how he is doing. But, he's another guy. He's coming in under 15%. So if you want to get a little bit different in your DFS lineups, those are 4 guys you can pivot off of from those top guys. So then the only other sleeper that I got like below 5% is Luke List. And that's just because I've seen him go through a spurt where, man, he was he got hot with the putter. And you're just hoping that he gets hot with the putter. Everything else of his game is very solid. Just the putting is horrible. So that's why he's sub 5% owned. And if you're going to play him in high risk lineups. If not, pivot to those guys that we were talked about earlier. But yeah, do you have any other? We got the matchup that we're going to show here shortly. You got any other final thoughts to the slate? Maybe any other recommendations? Somebody that maybe just popped in your brain?
Yeah, no, I was just to touch on that. I might not touch Luke List all year. You just can't. It's just tough. And he's like like with Morikawa you can, because I mean he's obviously a different talent than Luke List, but it's hard to take those. Like obviously Bermuda greens kind of negate bad putters a little bit. It's like a more even field, but I don't know. Like you said, I kind of want to see Morikawa right now and see what he does. I'm not going to be too mad if he wins and I miss it. Like whatever, just kind of see. He's more of a streaky. From last year, he kind of feels like he's more of a streaky player. Like he'll get hot and then cold. So we'll see. But yeah, that's kind of all I had. We kind of did a pretty good dive of the whole field there. So
usually we can't.
There's one more guy I forgot about, Tom Kim. I don't know. He's kind of he's still really a wild card to me. He's one of the shortest on the PGA driving wise, which is he has like his club speed's like really slow, but so I think I'm going to stay away from this week, even with the rollout and stuff. Obviously, I mean, he's 21 years old, or he just turned 21, I believe. I mean, it's crazy. So just watching him play, it's fine with me for now, and seeing where he goes. Just see if it's a fluke or not. They're like already calling him the next Tiger Woods, so let's relax.
Wow, just to wait and see.
Next big thing, so we'll see.
And this is classic of us. Every time we do a show, we never mention this guy whatsoever. So he'll probably end up winning. Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah.
It's just the one guy we just never get to, which is pretty wild. He's obviously #1 golfer last year. And do you think just long term, do you think he can do it this year again?
I don't think we'll get 4 to 5 wins. It's just, I don't know. He's another, like I was actually looking at his stats today because I knew, and I just forgot about talking about him, but he's actually not a good putter. Like it's kind of great. He's not a great putter. So it's like he got hot. He putted lights out at the Masters. Like when he was on that roll, he was putting well, but it's tough to, I'm sure it's hard to take him at 9 to 1. I'll say that. Like it'll be hard. He's going to be 12 to 1 or less every time he plays this year. Yeah. So it's going to be tough to take him in general. I would say maybe like a live bet if he going into a weekend if he's down like 7 strokes or something. But yeah, I don't know about you. I don't know about it.
I'm gonna not keep fading Scotty. I'm just not gonna be all about him as a lot of people were last year. They kind of hopped on the bandwagon and just went. I was, hey, this guy's 20+% in DFS. I'm just going to fade him because I do not want that guy on my team. And it bit me in the ass sometimes when he won, but other times you get leverage on the field on that side. So this is the first tournament of the year. I'm going to probably let him go, let it play out. Focus on Thomas, focus on M, and then give me some Henley and Molinex a little bit there, more on my DFS side. So we'll pull up the matchup that we decided to go with for the show, and it is going to be Burns over Spieth plus 115. This is for the entire tournament. So if you want to dive into this one real quick before we get out.
Yeah, no, it's just really if anyone new watching, I think tournament matchups are really the area where you can kind of attack golf betting, where you can, win some money. So I think just looking at this line, I mean, the plus 115 is crazy on it. I think that's a lot of value within it of itself. And I do think Burns is coming in a better player at the moment. You can't really, I'll take my plus 115 against Spieth any day. He runs hot and cold. So if I get Spieth on a bad week, there it is. So, and I also think Burns will be in contention. So anything, if I look at that, anything under or above plus 100, I'm taking. So that was just a no-brainer at that price. If it was minus 120, maybe I would rethink it, but the plus money it's there for me. So
boom. No, I like it. I'm on board. We're gonna go Burns over Spieth plus 115 for the show combined matchup. We're gonna keep track, obviously, every single week. We'll tweet out the records for it. We went profitable last year. I don't see us how we cannot do it this year, as we have a nice little process that we go through. But yeah, so that is the first show for the Sentry Tournament of Champions. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you guys do have any additional questions, make sure you guys join the free Discord and hit us up in the golf chat. But yeah, we will get up on out of here. We'll cash some tickets. And if you guys have any questions, DM us on Twitter or join the Discord. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. Any final thoughts, Teaser?
No final thoughts. Just, if you just DM us on Twitter if you have any questions. And usually my card comes up right after the podcast or around 9:30 Eastern, 10, and I know his does as well. So just be on the lookout for that if you forget anything in the video. So, or if you missed the podcast. So
yes, sir. Sounds good. We'll see you guys.